Alrighty, guys. 5 o'clock. Let's get this started. My name is Sheen Trades, co-founder of TraderLink. Thank you guys for tuning in. And today's class will be about volume profile, fib retracements, and a little bit of footprint. Starting off, I want to review today. Very simple things. Sorry, let me redo my mouse. Okay. What was the interesting part about today and how could you have taken advantage, right? In the morning, we already talked about a few things in the sense of there was a divergence between the two indices. And when that happens, what do you do? My suggestion is to always wait it out and see if a direction gets picked, right? With that being said, we saw within the first couple of minutes, flip to 1 minute because that's what we were watching in the beginning. We saw that ES had been downtrending, right? So this is market open, and easiest way to figure out a downtrend is just you can take these. Where'd it go? Fib retrace. None of these are it. That's not it. Is this it? Damn, where's that tool? Oh, it's in this one. Regression channel, right? At the open till right about here, it obviously been downtrending. Let's flip to NQ. And what did NQ do? Since the open, NQ had actually been in an uptrend, right? Hold on, let me get the right time frame. So from open to about 7:16, it's dragged all the way to 7:17. Okay, let's take a look at that. So open to 7:16, right? We'll take the same tool from open to about 7:16. Obviously, a relative divergence between the two, right? And we talked about this. We were like, okay, this doesn't seem right. ES is going in the opposite direction while NQ is doing the opposite, right? NQ is pushing up, ES is pushing down. So what do you do then? My suggestion is to always wait and just see what happens, let it pick a direction, right? The next thing I pointed out was, what are we watching mainly, right? I noticed this was happening, right? You could just take the high, draw it down to the low. Is that the low? I think it was a little bit lower. Yeah, there it is. Okay. What happened there? Obviously, we retraced up to the fib. And what is the fib? It's just from swing high to swing low, right? And we managed to do that. Then the next thing I looked for was, okay, what does volume profile look like, right? As we've gone over many times, volume profile is really important in the sense of finding low volume nodes because those are areas of where acceleration can happen or rejection. So this was the next thing we noticed. This tool, rectangle, let's take this like this and then extend over, right? 1 hour low volume node, and look what happened. We got to the absolute middle of the retrace, and on top of that, it was a low volume node on the hourly, right? We talk about this over and over again with fibs and low volume nodes. What happens? That is a setup that I will take 100% every single time for shorts, right? Why? Because it's just through my experience and through my back testing, it is a relatively good probability. Right, very simple. I just take that's just a setup that I like, right? It's like, you like the stock, same thing. I love this setup every time. I'll take it without hesitation every single time. And you heard me on the stream saying that if NQ is going to reject somewhere, this would be the spot. Said that, and that's just sort of how I found that trade for today. We waited for the entire open. My stops will always be a close above this level, right? This top bar. If we had a 5 minute or 15, if the 5 minute closes, then what happens is I flip to a 15. If the 15-minute candle looks strong, I may depending on how much time we have left on that 15-minute candle. If there's like a couple more minutes, maybe like 2-3 minutes, then I don't mind holding to wait for that close to see potentially getting a move back down or close below. And yeah. On top of that, the next thing is you can use the footprint chart to see if as we're pushing up in this area, is there negative delta being accumulated, right? If there is, then you have pretty good odds that the stock will come back down. So that's exactly what we were kind of watching for on the stream. Signaled shorts here, only took it to this 50% or this VWAP and the 0.5. I said that was a good area to trim. So caught a quick, I want to say maybe like right here. Caught a quick 45 points, right? 30 to 40 points. I think we entered at 74 NQ. That was the price that I said. So 74 NQ is right around here. And then took it down here. So, oh, that's the wrong tool. 74 ES here. So we caught a quick or a good 45 points, right? Obviously, you can wait to move it to get more. I believe I entered here, move stops to break even after hitting that trim. They got stopped out. But if you were in options, then it's the same situation, right? You would just wait till you get a close above this, and that would be your stop. But yeah, that was the analysis for the day and how to utilize fibs and VP in conjunction. On top of that, if you look at ES never pushed up as strong. So given that we were pushing up and ES still wasn't very in the same within that same area, I figured, okay, it doesn't seem like it has a good chance of continuing up. So that's just something to take into account. But yeah, that is it for fibs and VP, right? VP key main key takeaway. Look for low volume nodes on higher time frames, especially if you are looking for a bigger implied move. I don't sorry, let me clarify. When I'm going through VP, if I see that there's missing volume in certain areas like this, I would just keep going up and up the time frame, right? Because I want something that shows me relative volume. Once again, still missing here on the 5 minute. Let's go to the 15. So there's a little bit of information here on the 15. I wonder what it looks like on NQ. Yeah, once again, low volume node again, right? So that's essentially how you can kind of utilize VP and in certain different time frames. What would you have wanted to what would you have wanted to see for a V recovery? Like a full V-shaped recovery on ES, like a full on V-shaped recovery? Yeah. For me personally, what I would have wanted to see is probably higher negative exposure up on in these areas. I think 50 on SPX was the highest, or 55. Oh, VIX. Yeah, if the AOI was at 50, I'd want to see higher up negative. I'd want to see higher negative exposure to the upside, meaning we could potentially accelerate through those, but there wasn't that in that case. So in my head, once again, the basics come back to, okay, how are they positioned? Are they positioned even more for the upside? If not, then what can we what can we take away from that if we notice that there is not a lot of negative exposure to the upside or exposure anywhere else? You always use fibs on the 1 hour? No, I use fibs. I could even use fibs right now. Right, use fibs anytime. So on ES, it's just like that. I draw it like this. Boom. So we are in that short. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to take shorts on ES and stop loss above here, target down lower, right? Same thing with NQ, I believe we're in the same area. Move drawings, take the fib. Boom. So we're slightly below it already. So we came in, rejected that right at the open at 3 o'clock, and sent it down. We had some 75 positive growing on split. If 75 was growing on split, then in my opinion, that would be used as resistance if it's positive. And keep in mind, like 5 to 10 points. Could one have drawn a skew on the negative exposure? Yes, you can draw the skew and negative exposure. Once again, not my forte. Also, it doesn't revert back. It's not the same strategy with negative exposure. It's not a revert to mean strategy. So keep that in mind. Damn, we ran up hell at the end of the day. 35 points. Shit, son. With negative exposure, it's revert to Mordor strategy. All right, let's move on. Oh, yesterday and today had a clean second move off gamma levels 50-50 yesterday, 49.75 today. Yeah. I mean, keep in mind, right? The basics are we talk about it all the time. It's like negative exposure will have very aggressive moves, more volatility, right? And it's directional. The reason, and I don't mean directional in one direction all day, I mean the moves are very directional. Like you have this move that is pretty much flat straight down, and then you have the same move back up, right? That's what I mean by directional. Not so much like, oh, we're going to downtrend the entire day. No, I mean intraday wise, the moves are very clean. Yeah, with negative environments, I've noticed today I was more hesitant on entries. I feel like I haven't traded a negative environment so long that it made it a little bit difficult to get back into that. Does exposures work AA any work? Does exposures work any other day? Oh, do exposures work as any other day post news events? Yeah, exposures will always work, right? Because they're hedged for it. So no matter what, they're going to work. The data needed to settle some. Looks like. Yeah, we haven't had a negative day in such a long time. It's pretty fucking gross. Maybe this was a negative day, but even then, I don't. We had a negative day last Monday, but it was sort of like a recover, like one of those V-shaped recovery days. Yeah, there's been one occasionally late as of late. Yeah, nothing like the previous like October days when we were flushing, right? Like this month of October was negative every single day. It was nasty. Yeah, the negative exposure during those days were fucking crazy. Tension. Oh, continue. Sorry. So with that being said, obviously high volume nodes are areas for trims, potential bounces or rejections. Low volume nodes are the same thing. You kind of want to take it from one distribution of a low volume node to the other distribution of a low volume node. So like if we go on an hourly time frame here, see what it looks like. So this, oh, perfect example. Right here, we had let me grab this tool. You had a downturn, bounced at a high volume node, came back up, rejected this low volume node, came down to the next distribution. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Let's redo that. We'll do different colors. Came down to a high volume node, right? High volume node, switch colors, take, I don't know, purple, I guess. Came back up to a low volume node, rejected, and then from the low volume node, we went to, from here, right? We went all the way to the next distribution right here, right? So as we talk about, you flush through. So the basic movement of how the market goes is like, okay, flush through a low volume node, bounce up to the low volume node, right? And then come back down and retrace the rest of the distribution. So going into tomorrow, what can we kind of expect? Right? This is what I'm kind of expecting is we came down, went from one distribution to the other. I think we reject this overnight and come back down, right? And then we get a potential bounce to this high volume node again and go lower, right? I think 49.20 is an area to watch out for. Why? High volume node, big high volume node, right? So this area should inherently tomorrow, if we get down this low, act like a support, right? On top of that, we have, I don't know, nothing here, I guess. Just a high volume node. Next thing, I guess you could flip to a 4-hour, maybe get some more information. High volume node, low volume node. Look at where we bounced, right? Look at where we rejected. It's very clear when you're looking at these things as to what happened, right? POC? No, I don't use POC. I don't have it on mine. POC is the highest point of volume, so it'd probably be this area right here, 45, 65. One thing I am watching though, I want to show you guys is because I saw this and I was watching it. Look at where we bounced today. Look at where we bounced today. Flip to an hourly. So the reason why I love these so much is because they work, right? I'm not gonna, and they've helped change the way I like different indicators that I use in drawings. This is like the two that if you if you didn't have access to data, this is what I would use as indicators. Would be volume profile and fibs. So that's really all you need at a certain point, right? So I do think we get a potential bounce around this area tomorrow. So 49.42 to 49.07 is the bounce area. And I actually just sent a text previous to this. Where do you like to take entries on fibs? I take entries at safer entries would be so let's they're drawing safer entries. This is usually where I like to take entry, the 618. Oh shit. Oh shit. Sorry, I'm watching a trade right now. I took some NQ shorts when we were literally in that. Should I close these? Should I close these guys? We're up 400 a lot or 400, not 400 a lot, 400 right now. I had a limit set, but it didn't fill me out. Hmm. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Add more contracts. Now you're a psychopath. I'm 5 lots in NQ right now. I have my trim. Wait, where is my trim? Oh, I have my trim right at the the 0.5 on the literally as we speak. This is where it's at. My dog is under my desk. I have it right here, slightly above this. At 667.25. That's where my trim is. Question. I'm new to TradingView. What are the settings for the white volume profile? Oh, look up okay guys. You in the Discord, you'll find it. Like type this in. Okay, guys. You look that up in the Discord in the main chat, and you'll see a what do you call it? Sort of a link come up for TradingView. Are you serious? Oh, it really didn't want to film me. I had a trim right here. At low of day. I'm getting trolled, guys. Off by 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks. Whatever. Yeah, no problem. Let's we'll close this out. Fuck it. Order filled. All right. Quick little 16 points on NQ. Okay, anyways, continuing on. I'm up 740 in this pre-market, whatever you want to call this session. I don't know what session this is called. Okay, continuing now, sorry. Back to where we were. But yeah, with fibs, this is how you draw it. If you need the settings here, you can take a screenshot right now or take a photo with your phone. Those are my settings. I'll leave it on there for another 5 seconds or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. This one's not even necessary. I wouldn't even have that in there actually. Kind of a bait. But yeah. Anyways, continuing with what I was saying. Right. So basic things, let's write them down. VP. Right. 1 is LVNs and 2 are HVNs, right? These will be your entries and exits. I always suggest these as trims. Sorry, that's a really ugly arrow. There we go. Trims. Those are what I suggest for those. Mm, uh, Did you guys see today? I don't know if you guys were on stream, but I'm so happy. We hit 1,000 subs on YouTube and we had 92 people on the stream today. 92. Man. Yeah, I know. What a milestone. 1,000 subs, bro. Crazy. What a great feeling. I could have lost everything today trading and not made any money and would have been fucking happy as shit still. Can you go over the LVN that was resistance and not an HVN this morning? Can you go over why an LVN was the resistance and not the HVN? Okay, think about it like this. Low volume nodes, right? Low volume nodes. Why do they act more like resistance and accelerants? Because you have low volume there, and what does low volume kind of represent? Low volume. Low volume kind of represents, how do I put it? How do I put it? Imagine there not being enough buyers or sellers at a certain area. Like it's not wanted at that price, right? So not fair value is usually what we refer to as not fair value, right? It's low volume for a reason because people don't like it, don't like the price being there. So it's based upon auction theory, right? So like the basics of auction theory is like, look, let's say we have an item that goes into the auction, right? And it's a shitty item. No one bids on it. So let's say usually the first bid doesn't really stay. So maybe someone bids it up one more time, right? But keep in mind, it's not a wanted item. So that's how it kind of goes, where it's like, okay, low liquidity, as Liquidos just said, right? In those areas are areas of low liquidity, low volume, meaning it's not fair value. People don't like the price being there. So they will usually act like resistance or support, resistance/support, or they will also act like what was I looking for? Accelerants, right? Accelerants. If that's spelled wrong, go suck my sack. But yeah, that's essentially what it's like. It's like they don't want price to be there, so they will either reject it or they'll accelerate it through. Hence why you get sort of this ping pong action sometimes between low volume nodes. And that's essentially why. And similar to DOM, right? Or depth of market, DOM, right? High volume nodes, HVN. That looks like an A. Might be a, okay. HVN. All right, similar to DOM, high volume nodes represent areas of high liquidity where it is considered so high liquidity, right? Which kind of represents Jesus. How do I put it? How do I put it? High liquidity, fair value. That's what it is. Fair value. All right. And what does that usually tend to be? Those kind of act like areas where price wants to gravitate towards. Not so much a magnet, but price does want to gravitate more towards those areas. Gravitational effect. It'll kind of chop around there, right? Yeah, it represents Jesus. But yeah, hopefully you guys can kind of pick up off of that. Like you'll see, like if you go and review all the price action from previously, like they're high volume nodes because there's high volume traded at those areas, right? So if we highlight low volume nodes, you'll see that they act like resistance and support. We'll even date it all the way back here, right? Look, rejected here, rejected multiple times here, and then we finally broke through and we tapped what? A high volume node, right? Let's erase that so you can see that. We tapped this high volume node, right, around this area, And guess what happened? We came back and tested that low volume node and pushed up again. Guess what happens? Another high volume node retest, right? Kind of rejected, came down to the lower. I want to say if you're looking at this, this would probably be like value area low of this distribution. Like I wouldn't doubt it. From my experience of just looking at these, like for so long, this is probably value area high, value area low, like something like that. And then that's probably why we rejected these areas, right? So then it came back up, blew right through the low volume node, came back down, retested it, and came back up, right? So this is a really good way to sort of review market structure and how it moves. I think volume tells more than most people know. So that's just something to always consider, right? Volume profile is the one indicator that Gio and I will have every single time on our chart. If we didn't have access to data, volume profile would be the only thing that I would trade upon, like that I would use every single time. Then you also have what's called TPO profile, which is this right here. It doesn't show that on my chart very well because it's pre-market action. Wow, you really can't say. Okay, we'll just refer back to this. Where is my? Oh, there it is. I'm trolling, dude. That's an awful one. So the interesting part about TPO, what is TPO? Time, price, opportunity. I believe that's what it's short for. And it basically tells you how long a stock spent at a certain price based upon time, right? So the higher ones means it spent most of the time there. The cool part about all of, I guess, TPO is that it's very similar, right? If you can tell right here, get the drawing tool, resistance, low volume node, support, low volume node, right? But once we snap through those, we kind of just go down. Once we break through that, we kind of just go up, right? Value area high, I don't know how to get rid of this, if I'm being honest, but oh, that was it. But we'll leave that on because I think for this type of stuff, it's relatively important. So if you look right here, bounce right off value area high, continue to go. So for TPO, I keep value area high, value area low on. Don't you mean the first time it hit that high volume node that it was creating it because it wasn't there until, yeah. So you kind of get that choppy action around high volume area or high volume nodes. So I'm like, if we go back to a 4 hour, yeah, it was created at that time, throughout the chop, like right around here. This one, as you can tell, is obviously created now because we haven't been in those areas before. This low volume node, anything around these areas, right? So we pushed up, you can kind of see the high volume node form. And then basically as it's forming, the next step is, okay, can we retrace back to a low volume node? So the problem with, not the problem, but why we don't like trading all-time highs is because there's not enough data up here, right? You can't make more quote unquote, more well-informed decisions. Because it was their market participants until participants auctioned in the rain. No, you're 100% right on that. Chop equals a secret HVN help us later. Yeah, it's a good way of viewing it. But yeah, if you review, if I can go back to like even here, I wonder will it show the VP? Yeah. Okay. So as we can tell already, even though we went through all this, and this spans to about here. Vertical line. I think this is the line right here. Yeah. All right. So that's where it kind of spans to. So let's go over what happened. So as we chopped around, we created this high volume node right here, right? This section. We spent that much time in there, but obviously you can already tell there's a support here when we bounced off a low volume node, right? So even though this happened all throughout here, right? The first bounce was right here. So then we chopped up, came back, and then so this low volume node down here was already formed, right? Can we agree upon that? And then we came down, retested it, bounced up, tested this high volume node that was already there, right? Because this area is already relatively created at this point, right? Right? We can all agree on that. And then came back down, test the low volume node again, and then sent it back up to the next technically higher volume area, right? So these highlighted ones are there for a reason, right? That's sort of the statistical side behind why they're highlighted, which is a high volume node. But yeah, we've highlight the highest points in volume or areas of higher volume that are noticeable. But yeah, hopefully that kind of clears it up in the sense of like, okay, yeah, it chops a little bit, and then you can see it. It's also really well used on lower time frames. I love lower time frame VP. I think the 15-minute and the is probably one of the better ones to look at for lower time frames. I think anything other than that is not as great, or not as strong. I think the 15-minute is a good representation or a good time frame to use it upon. I mean, even if you get down to here, right, it's kind of interesting to see. I wonder what it looked like before. High volume node, low volume node, right? And even just the basics of it, flush through this low volume area. This represents, hold on, let me see what it looked like above. Okay, so these types of shapes where it's like, okay, you have something like this, it kind of flushes through that area, right? So then with that being said, as it came down, got to this low volume node, tested up here, and then obviously much, it's CPI, but so kind of sped things up, right? We came down. Let me go back. We'll zoom in a little bit. So we came down, came down through that low volume node, retested that high volume node. Fuck. Okay, never mind. We're back. I always clicked the wrong button. Boom. Went right through the low volume node. Look at where we got to. It's relative, quote unquote, relative low volume node in comparison to the rest, right? Went right through that distribution from one to another. And then we can even speed this up again. What did we do? Came back up and retested that, right? Retested that same low volume node right here. We got up. Can it load? Thank you. We got up and boom, retested this low volume node, right? Take your fib. At this point, this is what you're looking at. Let me make sure I have the bottom here. And boom, long entry, right? From that long entry, what do you target? You could have targeted the 50. I always recommend targeting, at least hitting a trim at the 50% level. Why? Because in my experience, once again, it usually acts like support after or resistance when you're, let's say you're in shorts. If in shorts, it'll act like support. If you're in longs, it'll act like resistance. It's always a relatively safe area to trim. So I always recommend trimming at 0.5. So next candle, right? Got down to what? Got down to the 0.5. And plus we have VWAP. So think about it like this. VWAP is obviously a mean, right? For those who don't know, VWAP is a mean, volume weighted average price. It's an average. So it's the mean of something, right? So when you have something like that where it lines up with the 50% and you have VWAP, that is a 100% good area to trim. I don't care what, if it goes more, I will always trim at that area. I think it's a safe area, and look what happens. We bounce right back up. Came back, retested the low volume node again. Once again, we also have this low volume or high volume node right below it. Once again, another good area to trim. Right? Let's keep moving, see what it looks like. Came here. Kind of chopped around that price, see? Chopped around this high volume node and went lower. So I think for those who want to better understand VP, the best way to do so is by going back and watching this type of action. The best part about TradingView is that it allows you to, right? VP and fibs are one of my favorites. You can go back and back test, but once again, back then when it was before Gio and I had data, it was just him and I doing like our free signal stuff. Every trade was practically based upon VP and fibs every single time. Ew, supply and demand. I hate supply and demand more than I hate ICT. Yeah, Gio used to like supply and demand. That's how Matt learned. Matt learned through Gio about supply and demand. Gio knows so many strategies. He's similar to me where we've gone through everything. Quote unquote everything. Like I went through that MACD and RSI phase. You know who I learned that from? Ricky Gutierrez back in the day. I think it was back in 2018. I learned it from him. Yep. Mac on these nuts, fool. But we enjoying this class so far? Does everything kind of make sense? Perfect. Once again, I know this stuff gets repetitive, so I do apologize for that. What are all my VP settings? So when you open up OK, guys, you'll see a bunch of garbage, right? A bunch of shit on there. Not necessary. I literally just have volume profile checked. I don't have value area high on. I don't have value area low. I don't have POC. I have it set to a 700. You can flip it to 1,000 and 700 if you want. I don't mind leaving it, whichever one. I don't really care. 700 is kind of just the basic one. If it's okay, can you do a small bit on waiting for market structure so you don't YOLO the open? Okay, yeah. I can go into market structure. Athena. Sorry, my dog's growling at someone at the window. Athena, come here. Okay. Sit. Good girl. Okay. So market structure. What are some things on market structure that we watch out for? The basics of market structure is essentially higher highs, higher lows, right? Being able to read that. So if you have higher highs, this is what higher highs, higher lows look like, right? So what does this market structure? Higher low, I mean higher high, higher high, higher low, higher low. This market structure is what? An uptrend, right? Until you break the previous higher or a higher low to make a lower low, then the odds that you continue going down on another indice is very low, right? I call those indice divergences because they're not moving in the same direction, so they're diverging, right? For those who know ICT, they call it an SMT. I don't know why. My nickname for SMT is suck my toe, but that's just so I can remember it. But they call it that. I call it market divergence, right? So if you look at the 1 minute on NQ today, there was a level that I pointed out, I think. Okay, here we go. Sorry. This is what I was watching. Came up, came down, came up, right? Did it come down and break this higher low? Right? Higher high. HH. HH. No, it did not. It stopped right here and created a what? Another higher low. So the odds that we continue are very high, right? Are more likely, more probable, which is exactly why I don't. What time frame do you use? I just look at it on a 1 minute, honestly. You could look at it on bigger time frames, I guess. It's not a really, you can look at it on bigger time frames, but for me, this doesn't look like much. You know what I mean? So if I can't read it, people probably see a triangle breakout, right? Where are my triangle Illuminati people? Triangle breakout. But for me, it's more obvious on a 1 minute time frame, right? You can most definitely see that we are creating higher highs and higher lows. Boom, boom, boom. Guess what? This was the next one, right? I said that. I didn't bring up this one. Why? Because I don't think that was the right one. Because I still think we're within this channel, right? Within this channel, within this channel. So I don't think this one was important. So I pointed out this one instead, and thank God I did because it probably saved people from shorting. Right? Keep in mind, different time frames will represent the length of the move, right? So if I'm watching the 1 minute, I don't think that this, even if we were to break this, there probably isn't that much room until we snap the other structure, right? Structure right here, structure right here. Until we break that one, then we'd have to also break this one in order to completely snap the quote unquote uptrend on bigger time frames, I'd assume is what it probably is. And going through this, you can use bigger time frames to see the overall market structure, right? If you look at where we've been, so until we get into a bigger downtrend, right? So we have this, 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 right? So I don't think until we break this structure here that we even have a bigger chance of potentially moving even lower, right? We need to break this first before I decide to say, okay, I think we have good chances of popping back up because we still have higher highs, right? Higher highs. This is just like basics of trading. This is something that you should have taken into account in the very beginning when learning this type of stuff, right? Higher low. So as of right now, this is also an area to watch, I will say, right? Because it's it's very obvious that it acted like support, right? But I think the main one to break is this one, right? So maybe once we break this, yeah, we can probably get a potential lower a retest of this, but it may just create equal lows, right? You don't really want to take a short right here at this point unless you've gotten in maybe around here, right? And the other thing to watch out for, so we have this, right? We have this. Look at where we bounced. I don't doubt that we get to potentially this 787 is there 707 area. That's just once again based upon experience. I do think we get a there are times where we can just tap the 618 and go. Safer entries for longs. I always suggest the 707, but my strategy goes like this: half size here, full size here, stop loss here. So 1/2, then you go your second half, and then you have your stop loss. Right. Even if you're feeling less likely, because obviously after CPI day, right, we know that it came in hotter. So potentially maybe even going 1/4 here longs wouldn't be a bad idea. And then saving your bullet for 3/4 here, right? I'm not saying go long, but that's how I would go, like do it. Because I do think we break this and we sweep here and then we potentially retest this. Oh yeah. Man, this has been a long class. Hopefully everyone kind of is like staying in here. But yeah, that's sort of how we kind of go about it, right? I think market structure is one of the most important things. And obviously on stream, you guys see me talking about that. And lately it's saved us quite a bit, right? It's either saved us or gotten us a good trade. So understanding the basics of like keep it simple, stupid. I always say this, and there's a reason for that is because in the beginning when Gio and I were explaining things, everything was so complicated. It's hard to find any good information or any quote unquote usable information that you can apply relatively quickly. Um, which is exactly why we keep it simple, stupid, right? We keep it to regular old fashioned market structure, up, down, higher, low, higher, low, higher, 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 high until we break this. Then we probably don't go lower, like that type of stuff, right? And if you had based it off simple market structure, you would have realized to not continue shorting, right? You wouldn't have been caught. I still have March quarterlies. They kind of came back today. Not really. They're up. They're back up like 5% today. But yeah, it's just um yeah, Liquidos is 100% right. There's 20 different terms for all this garbage. Like ICT has different coin terms and whatnot. So it's those liquidity sweeps, they're to me what I learned in college when I took my stock and exchange class, they are called stop hunts. Like it's as simple as that. That's like the term that's in the textbooks. Like I had a textbook for this stock or trade and exchange class, and they in said textbook they called it a stop hunt. As simple as that. They hunt your stops and they send it back down. They hunt your stops below and they send it back up. And the very interesting part about it is like it's very similar to gamma exposure, right? It's kind of like a balanced order book. So you have something like this, you have it like this, right? Shit, that's not right. So we'll draw it like this first. You have it like this, and then you have below, you have your limit buys, limit sells on this side, and you have your limit buys here. Similar concept, guys, right? So in a positive environment, why does it stay around this area? That does not look right. Ignore that. But yeah, so it's very similar. Like all this stuff has to do with orders in the market. And the simple word is market flow, order flow, whatever you want to call it. Unusual options is another form of order flow. It's all the same. But yeah, guys, I don't really know what else there is. Stop hunt, stop raid. Yeah, stop raid. I found out what a unicorn was today. You guys want to know what a unicorn is? I just found this out today. It's where you shit, I kind of forgot. Um Is it something like this? Yeah. So this is when you break, they call it a break of structure, right? I just call it market trend change, market trend shift, whatever you want to call it, all the same shit, right? So trend change, right? We had a higher low here, higher low, right? Higher high. See what ICT teaches versus what I teach. Keep it for the fifth graders. Change of character. What the fuck? But anyways, we had a trend shift, right? Where we made a lower low, right? So now we broke that and we made a lower low. But upon this break, I found out what makes it a unicorn, which is a very weird choice of words, is that when it breaks, it creates a fair value gap. Something that is definitely real and actually a thing. But yeah, so this is a unicorn apparently. I found this out from one of my friends. He's telling me. Essentially, this means it's very good for downside, like even more downside. I think it happened today. Someone was telling me. Let me try to see if I can spot it. Ah, right here. This was it. If anyone's curious, broke this, came up, right? Broke through that with a fair value gap. So apparently that's called a unicorn. I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I took like 30 seconds to read his text. Because I still like I don't if you're trading ICT, I think there's certain things that are useful and that's not one of them. Sorry, I'm trying to like adjust this, but it's not really adjusting the way I wanted to. Why do they make it so? How do I make this fucking line up perfectly? Jesus Christ. Okay, whatever. I'm over it. Close enough. Oh, it's because I'm in a browser. If you don't use TradingView as a browser, you're wild. I've never used the TradingView app in my life. You guys know this. I've been screen sharing and I use the TradingView browser all the time. Never in my life have I opened up the TradingView application. I don't even have it. See, it's all, oh, look at my swag. Look at my in-game swag. Anyway, let's close that. But yeah, don't even have the browser. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Okay, anyways. App equals shitty browser. Thank you. You want to know why there isn't a Trader Link app? That's why. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna close it here. It's been a 48-minute class today, longer than I would have liked. But now if there were, I like to keep my points from my choice though. With that being said, can you do a fib drawing again, please? Yeah, sure. Fib drawing for you guys can watch this one. It is the 740 candle to the 1220 candle, and you just extend it out. And that's your fib short. So that'll be on watch for tomorrow. If we hold this area overnight, bet your ass I'm going short at the open. And then eyes closed. Do you use aggregate data for the end of week analysis? Yes, I do. Aggregate data wise, I know we haven't touched the dashboard all day or all class, but here we go. Aggregate data, if it'll load, I don't know if it'll pull after hours actually. I have to relog. God. Auth the that's what it's called. Okay. Guys, you can't hack me. I have 2 FA and it's bruh. I have two FA and it doesn't let you, and the passcode changes every 30 seconds. All right. Shit. Hopefully this one, bruh, does not want to. Oh, it logged in. Okay. Well, you guys don't have. I've rarely ever used 2FA. I am the code now. Okay, now that it's loading, let's go through it. Keep in mind, Friday's OPEX, so the numbers are going to be fucking massive. Holy balls, 5,000 and 49.50. So expect chop until OPEX. On top of that, do you watch the 1 minute entry on Fibs? Yeah, I always look for. Pretty much always on a 1 minute entry, which is not very good, but a lot of people don't like that. But I can't. I'm impatient, and knowing myself, I use the 1 minute entry. Like no hesi, always 1 minute entry for me personally. Um, yeah, chop until OPEX. So keep that in mind. I think it's going to be base hits, and PPI is also on Friday on OPEX. So I do expect chop the rest of the week, which is really boring, but it is what it is. Yeah, it'll be good for spreads, guys. How did you tell it's chop? Because dealers are positioned for 5,000 and 49.50 here. These are like the biggest bars on split. So to me, that shows just utter chop. Distribution. Actually, something cool that we're kind of waiting on, but we'll see. We're trying to set up a thing where it basically is like a line graph for you guys with the skew drawn, and it'll highlight the mean. So you don't have to it'll highlight the mean, and then it'll pick another color, or we have another color sector. Oh, that's a terrible color choice because and it'll highlight the mode, right? And then it'll highlight the median for you guys. So there's less work involved. But there's so many things that we're working on. Like it's just been so jumbled lately, right? And things don't get done. In the sense of like it's all just kind of heavily reliant on Mitchell right now. So it's kind of tough in that space, given that if he's the only person doing the work, then it takes time. So I'm not gonna promise you guys that it'll come out anytime soon. But you know us, we're always like Mitchell at least, right? Literally, I shit you not, this guy's always working on something in relation to the back end. So that I can 100% promise. So it just takes time to get things done, especially given that he's the only one and we don't have any devs to help him. So if you see Mitchell, give him a thanks because it wouldn't be none of this stuff would be possible without him. So just keep that in mind, guys. Okay, I need to end this. I'm tired. I need to eat. Do we have, I don't know. You're gonna have to beg Geo. I would love to get him on another class, but yeah. 6 o'clock. I have 3 hours until my bedtime time to wake up and stream again. Do we have a class on the significance of this mean? Yeah, there's under our YouTube. I'd go watch that. But anyways, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow, and we will see you on the stream, guys. We've been killing it every single day. We have been nailing the fucking stream, right? So with that being said, thank you for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, guys. I know we only have 20 people in here, but you guys are always here supporting me. So fucking thank you guys, and let's absolutely fucking kill it tomorrow. I'll see you guys on stream. Everyone have a great rest of your day, and don't forget to keep moving forward. Bye bye, guys.